Hi guys, welcome to the live tutelage, and we are discussing of Java programming in our tutorial, and so far we have discussed lot of Java concepts, and this session we'll be discussing of something called Java constructors. Okay, Java constructors. What is the use of constructor and what the benefits or advantages we will be having in the program when we write in form of a constructor. So let me create a class first. So this is my package. Right click it, go to the new and just click class. So here I'm going to create a class called example of constructors. Okay, constructors, and just highlight your main, just say finish. Okay, so we are discussing of constructors, right? Constructors. So constructors are a kind of a methods which have the same name, of class. Okay. When I define a method with the same name of my class, then I'll call that as a constructor. So you will have two constructors. One is a default constructor, the other is parameter constructor. Okay. Default constructor is nothing but which will be with an empty braces, and parameter constructor which is nothing but when you pass some value, that is called a parameter constructor. Now before discussing of the constructors, let me write a simple program with a normal method, which we have already discussed how to write a simple program and how to use a method in the program. Now here I am going to define a method which is my public void, and I am going to sum of two integers. I'm going to do sum of two integers. So, and here I'm just defining integer a something like which is equal to 10, and then integer b which is equal to some 20, right? And I'm going to define so system dot out dot println the result value of. So let me say something, or I can directly call a star b. Okay, this is my method. Okay, this is my method here. So, okay, so this is a kind of a method, and now here, so this is my method which is a sum, and the method is not returning any value, so I have to give void. And I have taken two variables and I am trying to print this. Now how I can call this method? So I have to go to my main and I need to create an object for my class, right? My class is example constructor. So create an object for this, so which is object which is equal to new class name, right? So here you are giving a class name with open and empty parentheses. This is known as a constructor. This is known as a constructor. Okay, so every Java program have the default constructor inbuilt, and that will happen when you run your program or when you call any methods which you have written inside of your class. Okay, so when you are calling the class objective, when you are trying to create a new object for the allocation, or when you are trying to create or initialize a new object, you are calling the class with open and closed braces. So when you write any name followed with open and closed brace, that we call generally as a method. We call that as a method. So this is a method, and this we call as a constructor. This we call as a constructor. Okay. Now here, now I want to access my what do you call this method. So what I have to do, I need to call this with the help of the object dot, and what is the method, which is sum. So sum. Now I have called my method, right? Now let me run the program. So just say run as. Now see here, you have got the output as 200. Okay. So what is this output? How you got it? When first you have initialized an object and you called the method through the object, right? So this method is called here. Now what I am trying to do is I am going to give the same name of the class name for my method. So I am trying to replace this with the same name of my class. Okay, so this is the method. Okay, and I'm going to copy the same syntax. I'm going to run it. Okay, now here when I say void here, when I put void here, you will get immediately an error. What is this error? This method is a constructor name. So the first point to be noted is the constructor should not have any return type. Okay, so the first point of constructor is should not have any return type. The second is it should have same name of class, right? So it should have the same name of class and it should not have any return type. So it is the same name of the class I have given, and with a method I am defining. Now coming to my main, so I am just going to call like this. So I am just calling like new, and then I am just calling with a new the constructor name or the method name. What is this? Same as the class name. So now let me run my program and see what happens. So when I say like this, see, I am getting the same result with using of the constructor. So but what is the difference between of having or defining a method like this and creating an object or using of a constructor? Now if you observe this, so this part is nothing but defining a method with the same name of a constructor. And now here coming to your main, here I am not going to create a new object here, right? I am not going to create a new object like this, and I am not calling the method again with the object. Here you are directly initializing and calling your constructor as well as the method. So this is nothing but your method overloading concept is happening here. So you are doing method overloading. So we know the reason for method overloading, the advantages of method overloading from the previous classes, right? So here the method overloading is nothing but which will saves your memory space, because whenever this happens, your main calls this constructor, immediately it releases the memory and it acts as per the method and gives the result, and then immediately it frees up the memory. So after working of your method, it releases the memory. That means the memory is freed now. But what happens to in this case? You are creating an object obj by calling the same default constructor, and with that object code you are calling the method sum. So what happened here? The memory has to be released to create a method called sum. Right? When I have a method like this, some part of memory should be allocated for this method, right? But when I have a kind of a constructor with the same name of a class, what happens? There will be a memory method overloading concept, and each and every time it is being called, because the Java at the runtime automatically calls your constructor, the constructor, which is this. Right? It is called a default constructor. When it calls every time, you are not going to allot any kind of a memory again. When I am trying to run this again a memory should be allotted for my sum. When I am repeatedly running with my constructor, it is not going to allot that much of memory. So it will be like, after working or after calculating the method, immediately the memory will be released. That is the use of the constructor. It will have the same name, and you can even use this as a method, and you can call this in the main. Okay, the main use of the constructor is only the memory wastage. So you can reduce the wastage of the memory by just applying the concept of method overloading. Okay, this is a default constructor which doesn't have any, we are not passing any value. And if you want to pass some value here, so you can pass it as of parameter passing functions. So we have already discussed how to pass parameters for any methods. Same as you can pass any parameters here, you can directly pass here some value. Okay, so that is about parameter constructors. Okay, so this is about the constructors in Java. Thank you.